You want me to write something for you? Will you just read it and then toss it? And that's happened to me before. I've written cards and people just leave them on the floor of the church because they only care about the present. Do you like the present or the card? I got you a present.
Yeah.
That's good, right? Yeah, I think you'll appreciate cards on your order. Moving on, let's focus on the passage. Let's read together. There is only one lawgiver and judge, he who is able to save and to destroy. But who are you to judge your neighbor? Let's have Joshua. Can you read section 1?
Last week you were against one another, brothers. The one who speaks against the brother judges his brother, speaks evil against the law, judges the law. If you judge the law, you are not a doer of the word, but a judge. There is only one lawgiver and judge, he is able to save and to destroy. But who are you to judge your neighbor? You shall not go around as a slander among your people, and you shall not stand against the life of your neighbor. I am the Lord.
Do you guys remember the definition of slander in the Bible study? Daniel?
Like to accuse?
It's true, but you could be even more specific. Slander is when you say bad things about somebody, but specifically when it's false. Like spreading false rumors or something. But James speaks more specifically. Just don't speak any evil, even if it's true or not. And I'm sure you've met people, or maybe you even done it yourself, where you speak very harshly against somebody and then you just say, I was just being honest. But that's not the kind of honesty that God wants us to have. Okay, first question, why is judging a neighbor also judging the law? We've talked about all this in the Bible study, so the quicker you answer, the quicker we'll finish. So, anybody remember?
Like said multiple times to continuing like the last passage a few months ago of being like doers of the word. You leave judging to God, and then you yourselves just abide in the law.
Mm-hmm.
The law, like one of the most important commandments is loving your neighbor. So if you judge your neighbor, you are you're not obeying the law, or like acknowledging that you should follow it.
Mm-hmm. So, I've already given my answer yesterday, but I'll have someone else speak. It's from Luke Timothy Johnson. Daniel, you can read it.
So to practice slander and judgment against the neighbor is therefore to assume not only an arrogant superiority toward an equal, but also to assume an arrogant superiority against the law that forbids such behavior, and assumes the right to decide which laws apply and which ones don't.
Did that make sense to you, Daniel?
Yeah,
Can you explain in your own words?
it's like talking about like when you judge the law, you're like saying which ones are like right to you and which ones like wrong. So it's basically like making your own claims and like you're like the lawmaker kind of thing.
Yeah, this part is something that I didn't mention during the Bible study. Daniel, what does it mean what is this part about an equal? Arrogant superiority toward an equal? Isaiah?
Arrogant superiority. You're undermining the other person.
Yeah, so we're all equal. We're all brothers and sisters. So, who are you? That's the last question. So we're all equal, but then you assume you're pretentious, that you're above others. And that's why I specifically added Leviticus 19:16, because it clearly says, do not slander. So, well, I'm going to love my neighbor in other ways, but I'm going to speak evil. So that's the specific law that we choose to not apply. Okay. Joshua, can you read Matthew 10:28?
And then after does it kill a body, I can't kill a soul. If you're in destroy both soul and body now.
I think you guys know what this verse means. So how does knowing that there is only one lawgiver and judge, he was able to save and destroy, impact our speech? Another way to put it is, I think the main point that James is saying could have been come across, just looking at section 1. If we delete this sentence, starting with there is, it makes sense. But there's a reason why he put it there. So how does it impact our speech, knowing God is lawgiver and judge?
Like justly, because he like controls everything.
And in Matthew 10:28, it says that there's only humans can kill others, but they can't kill a soul, but God can destroy both. So the one who has authority is also the one who is able to execute the law, judge according to the law, and he's the one who made it. So that also shows our foolishness. If you judge somebody else, but you're not able to really judge well, what are you doing? And another thing is, all of us will be judged by the judge. So it also instills fear or respect. Because I'm sure that, maybe this is a tangent, but when my brother was living with us, we had, my mom had to hire so many babysitters because it all quit after one day. Either they voluntarily quit or they just couldn't do the job well, so they were kind of fired. And one babysitter, I remember, she was really bossy, and one of the rules she had was, if you're inside a room, you have to leave the door open. You can only shut the door in a house if you're not in that room. And I thought, that's a stupid rule. And you're not my babysitter, you're my brother's babysitter, so why do I have to listen to you? So I didn't listen to her. So obviously, I didn't say any of this stuff out loud, but in my mind, I'm not respecting her, right? She does have authority, but I'm saying that, well, I don't respect you. So it's the same thing. By James telling us, there is a judge. He's able to save and destroy. He's trying to remind us of our place, and also there is a reason why we respect God. God isn't just some fuzzy teddy bear who loves us and gives us whatever we want, or a genie in the lamp, but God is a person, and God is just. So when we speak evil, we not only disrespect the person that we're speaking evil against, but also disrespecting God's law, and the person who made that law, God himself. One more question on this section. Isaiah, can you read Luke 6:45?
The good person out of the good treasure of his heart produces good, and the evil person out of his evil treasure produces evil. For out of the abundance of the heart his mouth speaks.
Right, so that last clause there is important. What does our judging say about us?
who you are.
Do you two want to add anything? Yeah, so there's a lot of, you could say, advice in James about what to say or what not to say. Talked about the tongue being just a little piece of the body, yet it boasts of great things. The idea, though, is that words are not. I think we read in the Bible study. You will be judged for every careless word you say. So we tend to think that our words are light. We say something yesterday and we totally forget it today. But unfortunately, that shows how we disregard our actions and how even our words stem from the heart. So I hope you guys see that we really need salvation, because all of us are guilty of this. Okay, moving on to section 2. Isaiah, can you read the entire thing?
Come now, you who say, today or tomorrow you will go into such and such a town and spend a year there, and trade to make a profit, yet you do not know what tomorrow will bring. What is your life? For you are a mist that appears for a little time and then vanishes. Instead, you ought to say, if the Lord wills, you live and do this or that. As it is, you boast in your arrogance, all such boasting is evil. So whoever knows the right thing to do and fails to do it, for him it is sin.
Okay. Daniel, what kind of view of reality is assumed by those who say this quotation?
Like, based on what your mind says, you do it.
Joshua, can you add anything to Daniel's answer?
As those that don't really believe God and how there's this eternal reward, they just live on their life.
And what's so wrong with saying that? What's so boastful and arrogant, as James says, about speaking this way? Or maybe you're not persuaded that this is boastful and arrogant. Probably, because we all speak this way. I know there are people out there, many Christians, who say, if the Lord wills, or if God is willing. They say that very often. And hopefully that's not just empty words, but they actually think that way, and that's great. But I think many of us, we speak as in line with the first quotation. Is it boastful? Or just normal?
According to what the human body says, so like with the Lord.
I couldn't hear that last part.
You're doing it like you're acting according to your own way instead of God's.
That's true, but the person is not sinning, right? So we brought out that distinction yesterday, which is if the Lord wills. When we talk about the Bible, there are two kinds of wills. One is God decrees, do not murder, do not commit adultery. So you can break the will of God by going against his decrees. But there's another will, a secret will, which is God's plan for the world. Nobody knows it until it comes to pass. So we didn't know that there would be a pandemic in 2020, but that was part of God's will. So the people who speak, make plans, we're going to make money. That's not a sin to say that I'm going to make plans. for today or tomorrow. So yeah, some people say that I need to live according to God's will, but according to that second definition, there are so many ways to live. Like it doesn't mean that God only has one occupation for you. So let's try to be more precise. What is sinful about this speech? Joshua?
I guess like defining God's existence.
Anything else to add, Isaiah? So I think, well, maybe I shouldn't speak for any of you. I'll just speak for myself. I don't deny God's existence, but I do speak this way or think this way. There is another element, not just that God is not part of my plan, but there's something else. Specifically that you presume that your plan is what brings things into effect. Actually, I should have you guys read that passage of 1 Corinthians. Chapter 1, maybe it was chapter 3. Okay, yeah, it's chapter 3. Isaiah, can you read from verse 1 and end to verse 9?
But I, brothers, could not address you as spiritual people, but as people of the flesh, as infants in Christ. I fed you with milk and not solid food, for you were not ready for it, and even now you are not yet ready.
Sorry, I'll make it bigger.
For if you're still of the flesh, for a while there is jealousy and strife among you. You are not of the flesh and behaving only in a human way. Are you not of the flesh and behaving only in a human way? For when one says, I follow Paul, and another, I follow Apollos, are you not being merely human? What then is Apollos? What is Paul's servant through whom you believe, as the Lord assigned to each? I planted, Apollos watered, but God gave the growth. So neither he who plants nor he who waters is anything, but only God who gives the growth. He who plants and he who waters are one, and each will receive his wages according to his labor. For we are God's fellow workers, you are God's field, God's building.
Alright, I'll stop. Have you stop there? But he continues to talk about not only the sins of the Corinthians who boast and make factions based on who they follow, but also the sins of God's workers. And it's specifically this part that he picks up on later in the next part, but it also applies to our passage. We know based on human observation of the world that if you stick seeds into fertile soil, you water it every day and give it sunlight, it grows. So based on our observation of how the world works, we think we have mastery over it. But who is the one who made those natural laws? And Who's the one who allows them to happen? Not all laws follow. There are seasons where there's famine, even though they did all the right things. I planted, I watered, I gave them enough sunlight. So why isn't there any crop? God is the one who sustains all things, and he can't demand God. It's not fair. I follow the rules of whatever, and it should have gone this way or that way. So that's the problem with modernity. Like starting around the late 19th century, when there was enough human development, technological advancement, that life got comfortable and less people were dying every day. People started thinking, well, maybe there is no God, because it seems like we understand how the world works now, and we could do great things. So yeah, it's pretentious. We only know how things generally work, but instead of thinking that our plans are only possible because God wills, that is a boastful, arrogant thinking. And it's so normal that we don't think it's wrong. So I'm guilty of this. I don't even think twice. It's called, we mentioned in the Bible study, practical atheism. So we claim there is a God, but in our day-to-day life, we think that, well, I don't even think twice about driving. I don't think that I'm gonna get killed on the way to school, because I'm just gonna follow the traffic laws and everything will be fine. That's not always the case, but we are helped by God's grace. So that's it for the Bible study. Take some time to answer one or two of these questions. And we'll meet together at 10:15. Okay, come with me. Did you guys leave your